exchange of matters. And we have a chat where if we are going to be these few, we can definitely talk aloud, and if it gets a little more crowded or you prefer to write instead of talk alive, the chat is going to be monitored. The idea of this crowdsourcing forum, as I was briefly explaining before, the idea was to create a safe space in which most of us know each other, or someone knows someone in this team, in this group, and have a free format and a safe space to exchange ideas. And we believe that in complex times, and given the increasing complexity of issues that we have to solve as professionals, as HR professionals, gathering the wisdom of the many is the way to go. It's very difficult to just one company or one person or one department to know all the answers, given the levels of complexity. So reaching out, collaborate, and crowdsource, we truly believe that is philosophically and practically the way forward. That's why we put together this proposal. The last time that we met, we were talking about the VUCA framework that we are pretty familiar with, and we also talk about the VUCA Prime. The VUCA Prime framework was set forth by Bob Johansen from the Institute for the Future in California. And basically what he provides is a path forward from VUCA to VUCA Prime. So as you are, I mean, the acronym remains the same, but now we talk about vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. And let's understand a little bit more the definitions. Vision has everything to do about purpose. That is something that companies have been working more and more in the last few years. Now is of the utmost importance. So be very clear and very focused on the purpose, and be very flexible in terms of how to get there. And this is something that we are facing in all our companies, different sizes and shapes and verticals, but the way that we do things has definitely changed. And that is the way to go. In terms of understanding to reduce uncertainty, the idea is exploration, experimentation, and crowdsource. So basically what we try to do here is modeling things that you may take as a practice to your organization. Instead of trying to solve things in isolation in the ivory tower, even that we cannot be still in the same room, but reaching out for others and basically having a common understanding of what's going on and how to solve very practical issues that we have at hand. Clarity basically links to simplicity. Sometimes in companies, maybe larger companies, this is more common, but not necessarily so always. We try to do many things. We have a set of priorities that is 100 lines long. So in a moment of external confusion, reducing the internal confusion and really focusing on what is critical and dropping the rest, sometimes it's a matter of survival, how you align. And again, the four of them are distinct, yet they are intertwined, as the VUCA Prime is also intertwined. So reducing complexity, focusing on what really matters, definitely critical. And agility talks to the capability of adapting, pivoting, adapting, and basically matching the desired outcome, not necessarily how it was planned, but bearing in mind what's going on. So we believe that leaders and HR leaders as us, it's important that we understand, and we were talking with Francia, with Martin, with Alejandro, with Sergio. Of course, we acknowledge the reality, and we have a foresight and a line of sight of what is possible. There is more and more talk about the new possible, and the new possible is not necessarily a reduced traditional way of doing things. It's certainly a different way of doing things, but there are some possibility of expanding things that were not possible in the traditional way, that sometimes was a little restrictive, the traditional way of doing things. So this big disruption is a great opportunity to foster creativity and to find new ways, get a little in our uncomfort zone and do things different. So something that we did when we sent the invitation and the flyer, we sent a video that we want to share with you as well, because talks also about what it is and what is possible. And we want to share that with you now.
It's a very short video, and even if you saw it before, I hope you enjoy it again because it's very nice. Elena, the video is not being shared.
Yeah, the sound is though, but yeah.
It's not?
No.
Hold on, guys. I'm going to stop share. Take over, Sergio. I will fix it.
Okay, guys, if you give me a second, let's try to do the video from here.
¿Haces tú, Sergio, o quieres que trate yo?
Mine should be going. Do you guys see my screen? Do you see it?
Yep, we see your screen, yes.
Yeah, good.
Sergio,
Wait,
¿estás pasando? I don't see anything.
you don't see it?
No.
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 Martin, you see the video?
No.
No! I thought you guys were seeing it.
No, no.
I propose we just move ahead without the video because...
Dame una última...
Okay, second chance.
Hey, stop sharing yourself, and I'm gonna share, okay. Now I'm sharing.
Technology is not on our side today.
There he goes.
Okay. Vamos.
Mm-hmm.
Ahora sí.
Yes.
Sound and image, yes, you're right.
Very nice.
Yep.
Oh, Maria, Anna, Diana, if you want to unmute, please, because once again, as Elena was mentioning before, it's such a small group. We can unmute and we can have a very nice conversation over here. So those of you that have seen the video before, or those of you that just saw it now for the first time, before we get started and I get my screen, give me your reactions to the video.
You know, Sergio, I haven't seen that before, and it really, you know, I was in tears. So I was trying. It is super beautiful. It's really inspiring, and we should share with our teams, I think.
Yes, it's very inspiring and it's funny. It's very good.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, it takes the negative and turns it into positive. It's all very, very good. Yeah.
The first time I see it, and it's great.
Anna?
It's the first time I see it, and it's great.
Yes, it is. And
Amazing.
this is in line with what Elena was mentioning before, right? Moving from VUCA to VUCA Prime, moving from all those words and continue with a completely different set of words, much more positive. And again, the whole idea, as you see, can you see my screen now with the,
Yes.
yeah? So as you see on the screen is to do a little bit more of crowdsourcing and sharing. Maria was talking about talking to other companies and learning from them. And that is the true spirit of crowdsourcing, right? So if you please would like to share, what did you do differently? What did you try? What did you test? What did you change? And what do you see that it has improved in the way that you do things, mostly on the professional environment? But if you want to talk about the kids as well, that's fine.
I think that one of the things that we needed to adapt to, at least, I work remotely. I've been working remotely for quite some time, so this was nothing new to me. Yeah. What was new was the reaction of those who were starting to work remotely. They felt they were working twice as hard. They were putting in way too many hours, etc. And talking to not only colleagues but also people from outside of city, you're like, well, I didn't even take a shower today. I said, what is wrong with you? I said, you need I've been working remotely for a long time, and I make it a point every day to follow a routine. And I think routines are important. To not only a routine, a work routine, but also a personal routine. Set yourself some time to have some lunch so you don't end up eating snacks all day long because there's nothing else. You'll gain 100 pounds. But it was interesting also that we need to be flexible in our interaction with employees who have other challenges besides the ones that we don't necessarily have. For instance, I have people on my team that have small children, and you need to be considerate of the fact that they don't have anywhere to send those children. So if a child comes into a room and says, "Mommy, mommy," you have to embrace that. You can't be negative about it, and you can't hold it against anyone. We also have, so those are some of the things that I think that you end up changing a little bit as time goes by. It does. One of the things that we found in city is that when we did some analysis of people and their work hours and the times that they are connected, we found that productivity has actually increased due to COVID. Yeah. And we're working harder today than we ever did. And I think the other thing is that, at least in city, employees are extremely appreciative of the fact that they continue to have work, that they are provided with the flexibility and the understanding from their managers that life is not as it used to be, and we are not necessarily 100% focused all the time. We just do it in a different way. So flexibility is very important, and I'm not talking about flexibility to work from home. Flexibility to understand that maybe we have employees who have small children that need to take care of them in the late afternoon, and then they'll connect up later on. But at the end of the day, it is the product that's important, not necessarily how and where you do it. So.
Thank you, Maria, for sharing. And listening to you, perhaps the understanding of the VUCA Prime is very important. When you talk about understanding people that are in a completely different situation from where we are. Maria, not everybody is lucky to be living in Key Largo. Key Largo, you said, right? So
Yes.
So you're used to working from home from a distance. Did you have to offer some coaching, some advice to colleagues that were just starting that kind of working from home?
Absolutely, absolutely. On an informal basis, more than anything, to tell people you're allowed to take a break. You cannot book yourself solid from 7 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night.
No.
It's okay to have your child interrupt. It's okay to hear a dog barking in the background. And the more you tell people this, the more comfortable they become and the more participative. Because many times what happened at the beginning is you would have these employees who had challenges, were afraid to participate. They were afraid to get on videos. They were afraid to have their lines open because they were afraid that there was going to be some background noise or some interruptions. And I think that if you as a manager embrace these realities, it makes people feel more comfortable and it makes for a more productive environment.
And of course, we as human resources professionals, we would like to think that we are very understanding of that situation. But let me bring Diana and Anna into this conversation. What would you say the leaders, the business leaders, are they in the same mood that we are, or perhaps there's a difference over there? Not just in terms of understanding all the issues that Maria was mentioning, but again, you can do a Zoom at 11 p.m. in the evening or 5 in the morning. Are the manager, the bosses becoming more demanding and quote unquote invading our privacy? Anna, I see that you are muted, but you have no comment there.
No, for me, are you talking or the other Anna? There was another Anna.
No, you, Ana Silva. You're the only Ana now. Sorry.
Okay, no, well, Maria was talking. What it comes to my mind are different things regarding that. I really see that most of the population I've been connected with, that maybe it's at 2%. I don't know, because I don't know the real numbers out there, the feelings, that people is very sad and that they're working much more and with much more stress.
Yeah.
And I feel the community, the disabilities, individuals are being really hit by this because they don't have enough support. And the families who have someone with disabilities in their families, I'm like really precautious on what is happening, because you have like a very health issue there to cover, because you have medications in that houses, and if stress goes up, I don't know if how are the companies measuring the health, how is the mental health
yes,
of everyone who is really productive, because productivity you can measure it in a long term or short term. Sure. If you measure it in the short term, you have the products, how many products did you sell, and how much in the financial area, how much money did you make. But in the long term, you have the employees' health, mental health established, like the happiness measure that it's like 7 years ago that they started measuring happiness with key questions. And I find myself like talking with people that they are really working a lot and that they are very sad. And they are sad with the kids. They are not patient with the kids. They are waiting for someone to take the kids out from home. And I don't know where it's going. I mean, at the beginning of COVID, I was really happy, and I said that I'm very virtual, and I've always been virtual, and I'm very used to have a virtual activity, but I've never seen this sadness in virtual relationships.
Yeah. You bring in a very interesting point, which is in addition to the productivity, the financial, the income, whatever, how are the employees mentally coping with all this hardship? Because clearly it's a hardship. Diana, Maria, do you have anything to comment on that in terms of what are the companies doing for the mental health of the employees?
Yeah, well, in City, we certainly rolled out everything, you name it. We have an entire page that's dedicated to COVID. Within that page, there are tools not only for dealing with the mental health issues or the stress that's created by this situation, but we also have tools for managers on how to work more effectively, how to be empathetic with employees who are being challenged, etc. So we have a very robust program. We made a global effort to expand our employee assistance program to be available globally in those countries where we didn't already have employee assistance programs. We ensured that it was implemented, and the utilization of the EAP is incredible. And I think it has to do with what you said, Anna, that people are being affected mentally because of this situation. It's isolation. We're human beings. We're not used to being isolated. And we when we thrive on social contact. So it does make for a very challenging situation. And I apologize, but I will need to drop.
Now, if I may, Sergio, because one of the points that I believe that is interesting and relevant of what Anna said is we still don't know the longer impact, because we don't know if we will resume some type of co-located activity anytime soon, and it differs from location, countries, and the like. So maybe in 1 year or 2 years from now, and depending on the length of this, we will learn more. I want to bring over a concept that refers to agility. A situation yesterday with an HR colleague from I was briefly mentioning to you, software factory in a Latin American country. The guy was hired, and a week later, everyone went on quarantine. So he was in a new company, in a new vertical that he didn't know. And when he was hired with certain business strategy. Due to COVID, he's new in a new company, he met people, and 1 week later, everyone is working from home. And because of the pivoting, the strategy shifts. So instead of being a niche strategy, started to be a broader strategy. Basically think a small company with a runway that is not that long. So the challenge for the HR person was, I was hired with certain experience to do certain things. In the middle, big disruption. Now am I requested to do things that I don't necessarily have the experience to do it. I never did it, and I was not hired to do this. Yet I am here, and I need to work with a company and with senior management. So I want to bring to the attention also that the necessity of we as HR professionals to be very agile and very fast in our toes, basically to be able to entertain ideas or processes that are different from what we were hired for or what we were doing. And the importance, I would say, of relying in a network to ask about how other people are doing, and maybe what I'm requested to do now. Sergio, you did it in your previous assignment. So the necessity of reaching out, I believe that is more than ever, because many of us are in situations that we were not trained for, we were not expecting, we may not even like it, or we do, but definitely requires a level of adjustment, and relying on others sometimes is part of the solution.
The situation, no doubt, provides a great opportunity for development. In case you haven't seen, I can share material with you later on. The Center for Creative Leadership. The Center for Creative Leadership. They always say that you can learn from hardship. It's not guaranteed because some people just become bitter with all the hardship. But the opportunity is there. And perhaps it's not just about taking a class because we have time during the day, and many people are taking webinars, etc. But learning, Anna, you were talking about the mental health. I like to bring the maturity. Learning from that experience, learning from that hard experience, because the opportunity is there. Diana, Anna, any comments in that respect about things that you noticed that you're doing that translated into development? As a person.
I want to make a comment kind of a little bit different because I don't know if you have these cases. We are a group and, you know, we do a lot of manufacture across 30 countries. And some of our plants, you know, have been declared as an essential services by the governments. So probably at the contrary of you, our people are working and need to go out and work. So it's different because how you take care of them with this fear, right, to go out. And I don't know if you guys have this case, but we already did, and it was very painful. We already have 2 died persons, you know, 2 employees that passed due to the services that we render. So for instance, in Ecuador, one of our plants that do a lot of cocoa beans, so one of these employees died. So how can you, you know, restart the business and tell our people that it's safe, that we are going to taking care of them? So a lot of stress for the HR people, you know, dealing with all this sickness and people that you know, that die. So I think it's a kind of a different scenario. Yeah. And on another business, we are redefining the business. So we are working a lot on giving hope, you know, to the employees, because we did a huge transformation. So we shrink the company in 30%. So I think we have exit 1,000 employees during this period of time. So now we are building now the new vision, you know, and what is the new future, and what is, you know, we need to give hope for our employees. And from what you know, what we have received feedback from our employees, and it's, if you don't give hope to them, imagine if you as an employee, you are super sad or fear that you're not going to have any more job. What about your children? You know, those that are in college or in high school. So if this is happening to my dad that has, you know, a lot of experience, what is the future for me? And so I think that's another huge thing that we need to start thinking, how to taking care of our employees that are impacting their families.
Yeah, and Diana, that's a powerful comment. Yeah, it's like you were reading minds. I was about to mention that because we tend to think that everybody is working from home, and that everybody is in LinkedIn, and it's not. The real world is made by, to a certain degree, and not in the derogatory way, the blue-collar employees, the delivery people, the people in the factories, the people.
The public's people.
Excuse me?
The public's people.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, sometimes, and I'm talking about my experience with some of my colleagues, clients, that we sometimes believe that and actually it's important just to provide the psychological support, the emotional support to everyone that is working from home. That's absolutely important. But it is a lot of people, I will say even the majority of people that actually are working now, and before some economies will be open. And actually the fact that if we really took care of them, not only following the protocols or just taking care of them, I think that the rest of us will appreciate that. And above all, we are the lucky ones going through a lot of burden, but there are people that are actually facing the disease, facing this. And as Diana mentioned, that the role of human resources, the role of leadership is important to them, because it's going to be reflected to the rest of the workforce. That's a great thing, great comment there.
See, the other thing that I was thinking,
And then Ana Silva has a comment. Go ahead, Elena.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, a brief comment about what you're saying, Diana and Martin. The health and the mental health of the CEOs of the company. I'm not talking Mike Corbat in Citibank. I'm talking on top of smaller companies that revolve around the owner or the CEO that basically is also under stress. And there are many lives depending on livelihoods, depending on one or two people that are owners or CEOs or board of directors. So there's also a role in HR in make sure that these people can shoulder the storm, that they have a line of sight for their lives and for their businesses, because there are many others that are dependent. No? And that is something that also goes, I believe, to the HR bucket. Make sure about that the guys making decisions are in good shape to make decisions.
Anna?
Yeah, I have a question and something that Diana said. I don't know what it triggers me. I'm seeing a lot of people within the 20s that they are dropping or changing their careers. And I find myself high schoolers that they say, no, I don't have to finish this. So I'm going to go with the flow because everything changed. So everything changes that much. So I don't want to continue with college. I'm going to switch to another career that it hasn't. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a graphic designer, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing. And high schoolers saying, I don't know, I'm going to switch to another place because we don't know what we need to accomplish in 1 year, so I'm able to switch at any point. And my question is from human, I'm from communication area, so that's why the question is for HR. Do you see any requirement changing throughout this period, like the minimum requires for the positions changing?
No, it's a good question.
Diana, do you have any comment there, since you're the HR person here?
Anna, you mean from the job profiles?
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot. You know, I think, and it depends on the position, but I think, yes, you know, for instance, and probably more than the skill is the attitude, you know, in changing environments. So those kind of things are going to be much more appreciated than the technical skills, if you will, in my view.
And are you measuring the attitude, qualifications?
Yeah, you know, to adapt quickly to change, to deal with uncertainty, to deal with ambiguity, right? Because this is the new world, right?
Okay, and the HR is, correct me if I'm wrong, the HR teams of big companies are switching to artificial intelligence to measure the attitude requirements, if they are accomplished or not, from new people entering the company, right? It's switched from person to person to artificial intelligence, right? The platforms.
You're using some technology probably in screening, and maybe, I don't know if today, but eventually in career planning. But it's a good question. I believe that probably it's a little too early. There was a change, because what you are saying, I mean, there was a change, I believe, and Alejandro, you know this, in terms of, and the World Forum has been very vocal saying, okay, there are like two types of skills required. One are the ultra exponential technology things. The other are what Diana is saying. Okay, you need to be able to be influential. You need to be able to be a storyteller, to understand context, to provide context that maybe the machine learning or the artificial intelligence is not yet there providing context, or can solve something transactional, but the provision of context is still a human, is a human. I believe that what you're saying is different. It's the kids saying, and I remember years ago, a friend of my parents living in the Cold War Europe, and the kids say, okay, if we have nuclear, ojivas nucleares, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
If we are sitting on potential nuclear bombs, does it matter if I pursue a career or not? Does it matter if I marry well or not? So it's something that is much more related to, is there a future? Or given that we don't know what the future will entail, is it useful to put myself in a 6-year career or 5-year career, paying, I don't know, a student loan? What is going to happen? I believe that what you are saying is much more related to that.
Yeah,
And-
no, go ahead, Alejandro.
Well, if may I add, just I had some comments there that I was super impressed by the example that Diana brought to the table. And definitely our role, sitting next to the CEO, next to the leadership, I think becomes clear that if we have been talking for many, many years about being linked to the business, this is even more powerful. Having the conversation about all the social unrest and all the psychological effect is going to be useful. And that's part of our job. But we are going to get the right attention of leadership if we come with a very serious example about the business.
Okay.
So coming back with the example that Diana was mentioning is, well, we can't afford to have 0 losses, 0. So with 0, we need to multiply the security that we need to have. We need to measure everything. We need to guarantee. If we go with the flag of the HR champion in the Ulrich model, we are not going to be welcome. We need to be close to the leadership with a business reason. And there's where our understanding, the clarity, the agility, all that is described in the VUCA model that my colleagues prepared before becomes much more important to that. And then moving to your idea, Anna, definitely profiles are changing because we are not able to assess people in the way we were before. So the example that Elena brought at the beginning of when I arrived, and she was saying about this poor manager that come into the organization, doesn't know anybody. He's not able to grasp the culture of the company. I mean, when I came to the companies I worked for, in the first 3-4 days, you were already telling your spouses, well, the company is such and such. I like this guy, I don't like this other. Today, I only like my own phone and my own desk and the few Zooms that I can get. So dealing with that ambiguity, it is very important. And if he's part of the world of Diana, if I'm new, it is very possible that I will never know the general manager. Like before, I was used to see at least where he was parking. Today, I don't even know where he parks. I don't even know how he looks. So definitely there's another profile that we are looking for, people that deal with ambiguity, that is able to adapt to changes. And I think our role as HRs tomorrow is going to be to really partner with the business, to be seeing the changes ahead of the game. In the family business where Martin was describing a few minutes ago, telling the owner how life is never like they were seeing it. And your example about the sons and the ones that are changing careers, it is very powerful to bring them to the table because a lot of these younger people are getting discouraged, but in a lot of sense, they are also bringing us new solutions. In one of the sessions that we had before, someone was sharing us about all this reverse mentoring and how we can use a lot of this younger generation to help us when we don't know what to do with this. You know, where Sergio and I were using our virtual background today, my kids laugh at me every time I use a virtual background. Now my son is telling, oh, here comes the boomer again, showing us that he knows virtual background. You know? So there are sometimes that we get so enthusiastic about things that we are learning. The younger generation is like, oh, I mean, that's so normal. So we just need to adapt quicker, and it's definitely a new profile. Sorry, I took a long answer.
No, that's okay, Alejandro. Thank you for sharing that. And the whole idea that you say, this new profile, We always mention as a human resources professional that whenever you are interviewing people, don't focus too much on technical skills. Elena was talking about the World Economic Forum. They talk about critical thinking, analytical thinking. And again, you're not gonna get this from your MBA. You're not gonna get this from high school. And again, especially when we're dealing with Latin American leaders. Is still when looking for a diploma from a certain university, has to be the Ibero-Americana, has to be the no sé qué, and they're going for the technical skills. So this is a great opportunity, in my humble opinion, for us as HR to coach the line managers about this new profile. That is not about the school that you went to or the, I don't know, Diana, you deal with so many of the countries in Latin America. Do you see a difference in different people, different countries, how open they are to not just go for the college and the technical skills and go for ambiguity and things like that?
Yeah, they are still in that path, right? Because they are trying to, you know, to keep the house running.
Yeah.
But I think there is going to be a moment that they are going to realize that there is not longer the old rule, you know, regarding the universities, but that's true.
Yeah. It has to be, right?
Yeah.
So if in this 10 minutes that we have until we finish, if you don't mind, let's go back to the question that I had before. The hardship is here. Is VUCA, is the COVID, is the economy. Alejandro mentioned the social unrest, so there's another element in the VUCA at this moment. The hardship is there. What are we learning from this hardship?
I think how to deal with crisis, continuous crisis, at least in our company. You know, in the past you have once in a blue moon one crisis, and you know, so you have a continuity business planning or something, but today is a day-to-day crisis, and probably also live in the present, right? Deal with the present. That leaders used to, in my view, to be more visionaries. Now they need to focus on what is happening now, but that doesn't mean that they need to abandon the vision. Yeah. And that is the balance that we are now trying to put in place.
Anything that you like to add over there? Sorry, I interrupted someone.
I think experiencing for the first time a worldwide crisis is very different. So when I had experience in the past and you were talking to the Argentinian president, he will tell you, well, let me tell you how Argentina is so different from the Mexico that you are referring or from Brazil. Well, now everybody is feeling exactly the same pressure. So I have a client today that works in insurance across the Latin America. And the great advantage that we are seeing, one of the few, is that everybody's on the same problem. So before, when you were coding T&E, someone could tell you, well, I cannot sell because I'm not visiting my clients. Well, today you are not spending in T&E. That's a big saving that we are getting today in every organization. But the great advantage is that nobody else is traveling either. So everybody is facing the same problem. Everybody's really learning how to get the appointment without visiting, without having the drinks, without having the long lunches. Everything, you are getting it by your own capability. And that's why the sales individuals from the past are going to be adapting to a new way of selling. Yeah. Now they really need to have a good story. Or the country I come from, Mexico, for anyone that has been dealing with the Mexican culture, we love to procrastinate. So every time that you were asking someone about when can we meet, when can we have another meeting, they said, well, as soon as you come to Mexico, give me a call. That was their way of moving things maybe a month. Well, now you are able to say, well, when can we meet? Well, I don't know. Well, how's your schedule? Let's have a Zoom. So in that sense, I think one of the few things is that leaving all the same problem, we are all trying to adapt differently. Yeah. And that
I slightly disagree.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Because, I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm supposed to disagree.
Oh, you do.
You're supposed to say.
You're saying
to share.
we are all
Go
having
ahead.
the same problem. And what I find is that we all have the same situations. But for some companies are problems, and for other companies, those are solutions. That they even imagine that they could have those solutions. Like the same case that you're talking about, we cannot go and visit people. Okay, but Amazon doesn't need to get or services like internet, the providers, or there's a lot of companies that they don't need to visit people. They actually they make money not visiting people. So and I think it's very, I find like from people from different countries are having very different realities. They have similar situations, but I don't see that they're the same problems. I think it's different problems and different solutions, and the money and the business, it's the same. It's just switching among some companies and other companies. And sometimes I feel that I'm involved with specific group of companies that we are dealing with the same problems, let's say. But when I switch to the other group, that's not a problem for them. They can take advantage of that. It's not a problem. It's my problem. It's not their problem. And
talking about perception of problem, no problem, I would say that for me, the learning is what I believe personally and professionally that was impossible or was not in my radar, out of the blue is a possibility. So the other day I was in, and it's a funny metaphor. They were talking, I don't know if it was Matching.com or one of these dating applications that says, you were dating on a pool, now you are dating in the ocean. Because now you don't need to date the people that are close to you. So out of the blue, there is an expansion of what is possible. There are some things that are more restrictive. But on the other hand, there is an expansion of other things. So for me, every day I am like amazed about things that I couldn't see myself doing. And now you do.
Yeah. But I think, Elena, what Anna was mentioning is that not only the countries, the culture of the countries, but different companies, they're in completely different situations. To take the agility, for instance. Me in training, I have to do that agility to do a lot of things digitally, right? But for instance, take one example, the airlines. There's nothing that they can do at this moment. They are losing lots of money. In spite of the billions of dollars that the government gave, they're losing, but they are firing all these employees because, again, nobody is traveling. And when
unless
they don't travel,
the planes start having some kind of value that we don't even know because we don't know. I mean, the most valuable right now is what we don't know. To know that there are a lot of things that we don't know. So then that's design thinking. Once the airlines find what is it that they have like a waste that's so potential, and I don't know it, I would sell it to the company if it is, that maybe the planes can turn into something that it's even more valuable than what they had.
Well, partially, again, you may have read it, that many of the airplanes that used to transport people, now they're transporting cargo, including masks and things. But again, from a revenue point of view, it's very, very little. And again, companies that Gianna works for a company that does a lot of catering. So there's a lot of connections over there. So it's not just American Airlines that is losing money, but the catering and the providers, Boeing, it's a very complicated economic scenario nowadays.
Yeah. The time, so we are at 1 o'clock already, so.
So, Anna, Diana, anything that you heard from anybody here, from yourselves, from ourselves, that you take as something that you could do differently?
Not do differently. I really appreciate to listen what you're doing, and because I'm not HR inside, but I see the effects of what you're doing inside, because I talk with a lot of people and I get to know the communication between them and what they express. And it really helps me to understand your perspective and what it's in place, what systems you're getting in place.
Thank you for your comment. Diana?
And for me, you know, it's a great opportunity to share things and probably in this loneliness of the position that you cannot talk about your personal fears and, you know, to deal with the company. And so it's a great space, you know, it's kind of your safest space that you can share and learn from others. So I really, really appreciate this space.
And the fact that we had a very small group today is fantastic, that we can do a lot of sharing, a lot of conversation that is impossible when you have 20, 30, 50 people, right? So let's hope that the people that are listening to the recording, that they can get some insights from that as well. So Anna, you're thanking us for putting this up. We thank you for showing up. Diana, thank you for being over here. Elena, Alejandro, Martin, un gusto verlos, y we're going. We're moving.
Thank you.
We're going to be sharing the recording with you guys, okay? Bye-bye. Kisses, besitos.
Ciao.